Hi, it's David again. And I just wanted to announce to all of you in Argentina and Peru, the Netherlands, France, Iceland. Why would you watch me in Iceland? Um, the Mormon Church has just built a 500,000, that's half of a million, square feet of a bishop's storehouse here in Utah. So the rest of you that don't live in Utah, we don't care if you starve to death. We got plenty of money, plenty of forklifts, and plenty of pallets of food. So I just wanted to announce that you that pay your tithing and your pesos and your euros and your suffering, we're living like kings out here on your money. Jeez. How you people outside the church area here don't see that you're getting ripped. Hey, whatever you want, whatever you want. Now let me, while I just said that to you, let me bring up something here that has come to my attention. Now, the Mormon Church was nearly bankrupt in 1950. It was almost bankrupt under Lorenzo Snow. Um, it's buying a bishop's, or it had built, they didn't buy it, they had it built, a bishop's storehouse to feed all the hungry people here in the Salt Lake Valley. And they say they have trucks. I don't think those trucks drive to New Jersey. I don't think those trucks drive to Argentina or Peru or Brazil. What a scam! Now you don't think I know what I'm talking about? Okay, here we go. Because I have had one or two more call for my death in the last couple of weeks. Okay, Jeffrey Holland says, and you can look this up on the computer. I'm not going to give you all the. Says that the LDS incorporates only revenues come from individual members offering. Okay, so your tithing money is all the church has. That's it, according to one of your apostles. Okay. There is no money in the church except what our members offer. Okay, and I've got a huge website on that, and I went to it. You can go look it for yourself. Then here's what we're finding. Okay, now of course the Mormon Church doesn't divulge any of its finances. Mitt Romney did, and most of us gagged that the Mormon Church told us what they have and what they've gotten from their members and how they've invested it, probably in the Cayman Islands, probably in Swiss bank accounts. We would die. We would not just be gagged. Okay, let's take a look here. Let's just try to see what they own and what they don't own here. And this is just part of the picture now. Okay, this is the part that leaks out that the Mormon Church can't stop. When they buy a huge farm or something, the title changes and the realtor and other people know what they paid for it. And I'm going to tell you, all of these things that I'm going to read to you, they paid cash for. They paid cash for. Oh, they don't give a detailed accounting. Okay, let's go here. Let's go on down here and just see what has been owned. Okay, Arlington and Benton outlined as of 1979. Now, this is quite a while ago. What is described as Mormonism's income-earning properties. Okay, here we go. Zion's Cooperative Mercantile Institution, that's CCMI. This enterprise is described as a wholesale and retail firm. The church, through Desert Management, owns a controlling stock of 30% in that. I think they've sold that since this was put out. Desert National Bank, Zion Savings Bank and Trust Company, Utah First National Bank, and Utah Savings and Trust. They seem to own. Okay, Idaho. Good Lord, let's see what they own in Idaho. Idaho Sugar Company. They have, let's see, 4/5 of the preferred stock in that company. Mountain West Sugar Manufacturing Ventures, the annual sales of which are in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Beneficial Life Insurance Company, which just went bankrupt a year or two ago. They poured $500 million to try to prop Beneficial up, but it didn't. It went underneath, and that was it. It went bankrupt. Okay, let's see here. We've got they've written over $2 billion in policies at that company. It went bankrupt, but I do know insurance companies hold money back to pay for death benefits. They're not selling anymore. Let's see here. They it's just unbelievable. The company was later reconstructed to include an investment program that enabled it to compete with Prudential, Metropolitan, and other national companies. Utah Home Fire Insurance Company, which was organized among others, Heber J. Grant. Okay, so Utah's largest domiciled casualty company. They own the Utah Hotel Corporation. They partnered with that, 530 rooms. In fact, I stayed in Hotel Utah on my wedding night. That's so I know the Mormon Church owned that. Beehive Clothing. Those are the Mormon garments. Let's see. They Arlington and Bennett write that this monopoly is a wholly owned subsidy of the corporation of the president. Plants in Utah, England, Mexico, and is the executive manufacturer of articles of temple clothing for the Latter-day Saints. The Mormon Church also set up Zion Security Corporation, described as a commercial real estate arm of the church, pays property taxes and corporation taxes on its net income. They noted it has grown steadily as its profits and gains have been reinvested. It's called to be ambitious. Okay, let's take a look here. This is a good one here. The owners neighboring parcels in developing modern business and shopping areas in downtown Salt Lake. Zion Securities has built the 20-story Beneficial Life Office Tower, the 8-story J.C. Penney building, the 18-story Kennecott building, a modern Prudential Federal Savings Branch, a 400-car parking terrace for the Temple Square Hotel, a 200-car underground for the Hotel Utah Motor Lodge, the ZCMI Center or Mall, a 1,000-car parking terrace on Regent Street, and a 900-car parking area near Deseret Gymnasium. Millions of dollars have been expended by the church and local government. Zion's Securities has continued to acquire new properties that will be useful to the church in its building projects. On a site acquired to Temple Square, our large new auditorium with 35,000 seats was once planned for the church and community use. Let's move on down to it's got plenty of things here, sister corporations, and oh my God, it's an octopus. The church has acquired a number of ranch lands on which it has pioneered in the adoption of new practices. Under the Deseret name, the church now operates 2 large ranches in southern Alberta. So Canada, here we come, up to Canada. A large ranching complex in Florida, that's only 10,000 acres, that's a little one. Hay and grain farm near Pecos. Texas, a 5,000-acre farm producing walnuts and almonds near Sacramento, and 11,000-acre general agricultural ranch in Alberta, Utah. The largest of these ventures is in Florida. In the 1950s, the church acquired for ranching and development approximately 220,000 acres, that's big, of swampland, not far from Cape Canaveral, which is now Disney World, running over 30,000 head of young cattle on land once described as worthless for the cattle business. These 20th century Mormon pioneers converted a flooded wasteland into a center for cattle feeding. Additional ranches and properties were subsequently acquired by the church, and the program development continues. In 1977, some 100,000 head and bodies of I can't say this cattle, Angus, well, it's Albertine Angus, and Hereford cattle were being raised on 360 acres of the church farm in Florida. Pretty good, huh? Given LDS Incorporated significant business investments, that it says its productivity is high. Let me see here. Still, the Mormon historians insist the LDS Church is managing its monies of mountain in appropriate manners. One gathers that its liquid assets are being managed with responsibility and efficiency. So they know how to handle money, and they don't know anything about running a church. We dig into more of the Mormon things that they own. Let's take a look down here. He says that, oh my gosh, it's in the billions of dollars, the amount that comes back to them. Okay, let's move down to now for the big numbers. We've estimated the value of the church's meeting houses, temples, and land are 18 billion. Once again, we have used comparable figures in our statistical database. In this case, a very close comparable to the LDS Church is the Chicago-based Evangelistic Lutheran Church in America. The Mormon Church doesn't release anything. So then we have to come down here to what they really have. Their salary of staff is not too large, and the performance of most of their duties by part-time unpaid volunteers cuts operating expenses to the bone. That's where all the janitors got fired, and now the members have the blessing of cleaning the toilets for the corporation. Everything is strict secrecy. Oh my God, it goes on and on. Let's see. The Mormon Church has amassed its vast sums of unreportable and reportable wealth and investments by following a bluntly basic two-pronged approach. Probably, I'm not going to comment on that. Let's see. The Mormons don't pay any taxes except on their corporations that are providing. And again, this is all documented here with additional. The total was estimated at conservative $30 billion for 10 years. This was using consecutive land and asset evaluation. A former stockbroker of the morgue reported that approximately $200 million was added to their investment portfolio. Oh my gosh, it's not just tithing coming in and going out for BYU and temples. Seems to be 200 million was added to their portfolio. Sounds like kind of a Romney deal here. Okay, the real estate division of the church conducts brisk dealings in land. Zion Security Corporation, the church's commercial real estate arm, controls numerous office buildings in Salt Lake City, including regional headquarters for Kennecott Copper Company, J.C. Penney, Prudential Federal Savings and Loan, and many church facility. It also owns the sprawling ZCMI Mercantile Institution Mall that's being built downtown. That's $5 billion there that they're paying for that. Let's take a look here. They think the current worth would be conservatively above $60 billion. Now, again, I gave this on another video that the Mormon Church has given as much in the last 30 years in humanitarian fund. It comes out to $6.37 per member. That's how much money went into for poor people. Okay, here we go. Last month, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints bought nearly 87,000 acres of the 126,000-acre Eldred Ranch in Garden and Morrell counties. The church, commonly known as the Mormon, paid $16 million, said Gardner's county assessor. Cash. Although the Eldred family retains ownership of the remaining 38, it's expected to sell that to the church as well. When the sale is finalized, the church will own nearly 270,000 acres of ranch land in Sand Hills County. I believe this is all in Nebraska. Turner, that's Ted Turner, who raises bison on the Nebraska ranches, owns about 328,000 acres in the state. So they're chasing Ted real close. Ted Turner better look over his shoulder. Here comes the Mormon Church in his state there of Nebraska. Don't expect buffalo to roam the Mormons' land. They're just using it for holdings. They're just holding the land. They just buy it because they got way too much money. The 87,700 acres sold to the church was held by the Eldred family. That tells where they're surrounded. One of their main objectives is they're trying to do a good job. I wonder if they're members of the church that sold that land to the church. There's no doubt in my mind they were. Oh my gosh. They say it's hard for people to outbid the Mormon church. Yeah, I bet it is. I bet it is. All right, let's come back to reality, because this is not a church. It's obviously a money-making corporation. But you know, here's where I go kind of sideways on this. I don't care if people are rich. I think there is excessive rich. I do believe that when there's starving people in the world, that some people shouldn't be excessively rich. But anyway, that's just my own personal philosophy. Here's where I go sideways. You got a little family, say down in southern Utah somewhere, a dad working as a welder and the mom's working at the hamburger shop. And they've got 4 little kids, and 2 of them are in school, and 2 of them they have a babysitter for. And dad loses his welding job. Well, I think it was Jeffrey Holland that announced in the Midwest, and it's been about a year ago, that the church is no longer going to basically help people who are having trouble with the financial downturn in America. And so this little husband goes to the bishop and begs for, milk, and begs for food and diapers to feed and take care of his family. And the bishop makes him clean the chapel to pay back the church for those things. And this little family has paid tithing for 12, 15, 20 years, 10%, which was really hard for them to pay, and took away from their lifestyle. When you see a church owning that kind of land and buying a $5 billion mall and still avoiding taxes, avoiding taking care of the poor people of the world, $6 a person membership for the humanitarian fund. I saw what the Mormon church gave to the Haitians when they had that tsunami, and it was 2 or 3 pieces of tin for a roof and 7 or 8 2x4s to put the roof up. That was the dwelling that the Mormon church thought was appropriate to donate. Well, those people are black. They're lucky they got that many 2x4s. The white people got, 600 2x4s. But anyway, my disgust comes from such exorbitant wealth and such insensitivity to the other countries of the world. I have a friend down in Brazil, and he's told me what goes on down there with the church. And Peru and Argentina, England, all coming back saying, gee, thank you for doing these videos, because we don't know what's going on with the Mormon church unless we watch your video, because they don't say anything here. So here you have Mitt Romney that forgot to tell on his taxes that he had a Swiss bank account. No one has a Swiss bank account unless they're going to do something crooked. And he forgot he had $3 million in there, and he forgot he needed to pay $1,800 more on his tax return for income. When you see that kind of wealth, it disgusts me. It disgusts me. These are people who have obviously taken every advantage of the law, but they also control the senators and the legislators who make those laws. You and me, we got to go get TurboTax or go over to H&R Block. We don't have blind trust. And if you think a Mormon has a blind trust, you're as nutty as a fruitcake. None of those trusts are blind. Then you take a look at his church. And the reason the church in Desert News, the church newspaper, went berserk when he released his tax returns is it showed. That's just one member. And he's not even a general authority. That's just one stake president. That's the kind of money he has. And when I read all of these properties, and I've driven in Nebraska and Missouri and Kansas, and I've seen the church's farms, and you can drive for 20 miles, 30 miles, and it's still the same farm. And now they have acquired more, and now they're buying it in Canada and other foreign countries. So I find it disgusting. I'm sorry. I just have to be honest with the world and with my videos. And if you don't, that's okay. But if you think that that church is really a church and not a money-making corporation, then you haven't looked into it far enough. And when you think a little farm boy, or doing the hay, and he's down there in Santa Quin or Payson, Utah, and he breaks his arms or his legs, and the church really hammers him because they give him a little bit of milk and a little bit of powdered milk, and some canned goods that the members of the church canned. And then the church just hammers him and tells him, crawl on your belly over to clean the toilets to pay us back. And look at the billions and billions in wealth, and how these authorities live in these million-dollar offices, and they have the nerve to look down on their people. I have to tell you a quick story. He's not a friend of mine. I know Steve Benson a little bit. I've read a lot of Steve Benson's information, and he graduated from BYU. I didn't know that. I think he played football there too, and I didn't know that. But he's the great-grandson of Ezra Taft Benson. And Stephen has left the church, and his wife has left the church, resigned. And Stephen tells the story that when he went to a general conference, because he was special, grandson of Ezra Taft, they all went upstairs during the break of conference, the morning break and the afternoon break. And basically what happened there is they had a beautiful catering with all kinds of food and an open buffet and whatever. And then Stephen said he used to look out the windows from the top of the church office building there and look down on the crowds of the Mormons with 5, 8, 10 little kids, and they're all there with peanut butter sandwiches and sack lunches, and they're sharing little milk cartons. And Stephen, in those days, he was pretty young, but he thought that was pretty unfair. Well, the Mormons continue to laugh out of the great and spacious building with all of their food and their fancy clothing and their black Cadillacs that they ride around in, and Monson on his Huntsman Learjet, which makes $1,000 an hour fuel payment. But Huntsman gets to deduct it because Monson is a 5013C trustee, so it's a deduction for the Huntsmans to fly Monson around. When you see these guys live like that and then hammer you, because I'm going to say you, because Utah is one of it is the highest amount of people, and the women in Utah, I don't know what it is, 80% of my Utah demographics are women. When you see yourselves in the kitchen making that green jello, and you have to do a casserole for Relief Society, and your kids are eating just a little bit less that week because you don't have any fruits and vegetables, and you hear this video, something should go off in your mind. Something should say, you know what? I don't think I'm being treated fairly here. And if you say something, they'll excommunicate your ass. You're gone. You're swept away like a tsunami, the Mormon tsunami, if you ask any questions. And this is just the tip of an iceberg. What I read you, the pages were there. I didn't want to go into all the details. I hope you got the gist of what I was saying. Billions and billions and billions of dollars in hundreds and hundreds of corporations that are feeding money back into the Mormon church, and they can't afford to give you a peanut butter sandwich, and your kids don't go to BYU for free. The general authorities' kids, they go for free there. So, if you like being persecuted, if you have low self-esteem, and you don't really give a rat's ass if you're getting ripped off, gee, stay in the Mormon church. Thanks.